This is the AT&T Jack, and I'm Jason Dunn from Smartphone Thoughts. We're going to take a look at this new Windows Mobile smartphone from AT&T and from Samsung. And this is the first impressions and unboxing video where I just tell you, what's in the box and some specifications about the phone. So, as you can tell, it's an AT&T phone. This is the same kind of branding and design I've seen on a few of these AT&T phones. This is obviously the way that AT&T is presenting all of their phones recently. We have a getting started guide. We have a getting started CD with basically nothing on it other than ActiveSync and Windows Mobile Device Center. Free software, nothing all that useful. We have some more paper information, and here is the Samsung Jack. Now, depending on how you found this video, I'll point out one really important thing that Samsung did that was a little bit weird. The Samsung Jack was actually released well over a year ago in Canada, and it's actually the Blackjack II. So in the United States, the Blackjack II is the name of that phone, and in Canada they released it and it was called the Samsung Jack. Samsung and AT&T must have thought that no one would have noticed because Samsung and AT&T named this phone the Jack, and the old phone is a completely different phone. It is the Blackjack II. This is the Samsung Jack, and even though it has the same name as last year's model in Canada, it is a completely different phone. So, we have a little screen protector. Let me just peel this off if I can get it off. There we go. So yeah, here's the phone. Basically, it's similar in basic design to last year's Blackjack II. Although I tend to find this one actually looks a lot like the Motorola Q. If you've ever seen that phone, this has the same sort of just the same sort of look and feel. I was a big fan of the Blackjack II or the Samsung Jack, the first rendition. See how confusing this is already? This one looks like it has a similar style keyboard, although on mine there's a little bit more space in between. So this keyboard is similar to, again, more like the Motorola Q, actually. We're going to set this aside for right now, and we'll just take a look at what else you get in the box. You get the sync and charge cable. I'll point out that Samsung, true to form, has gone with their own proprietary cable. I guess the good news is that this looks exactly like it does for the Blackjack II and the previous generation Jack. So that's good that if you have accessories and power adapters, you don't need to completely get anything new. But man, I would love it if they just would use mini USB. I mean, mini USB, everyone has those cables. Most other devices are using mini USB except Samsung, and of course Apple and a few other people. Anyway, not a big deal. But it's something I would love to see, although hell will freeze over first. This is a 3.5mm audio adapter because this phone does not have an audio jack on it for headphones. So if you want to use headphones, you would plug them into this little box and then plug this into the phone. Kind of ugly, let's be honest, who wants to carry around an adapter? I would love it if phone manufacturers would just put 3.5mm headphone jacks on their phones, but again, it's something that's kind of rare. You see it on some phones like the iPhone, but you don't see it on a lot of other phones. So this is the battery for the Jack. It's 1480 milliamps. And according to the official spec sheets, which we know are never entirely accurate, but they're all we have to go on right now, the talk time is 7 hours, standby time is 12 days or 288 hours. So that's what we have for the battery. Inside here we also have the charger for the phone. It's nice and small, so kudos to Samsung for making it nice and small, and it actually does say Samsung on it, which is a nice touch. If you're like me and you have a lot of gizmos and gadgets, it can sometimes be confusing to figure out exactly what charger goes with what product. And there is nothing else in the box. So let's just set that aside. We'll make it our backdrop here. Alright, so here is the phone. I'm going to slide off to the back. The battery goes in like so. Yeah, so here's actually the SIM card slot right here under my fingernail, and then this is the microSD card slot. So basically you won't be able to access either of those without taking out the battery. Some people complain about that, but I frankly don't think it's a big deal. I mean, once you put in your micro SD card slot, and by the way, this is a microSDHC card slot, so you can go up to 16 gigabytes of storage today, and theoretically up to 32 gigabytes once those cards, start to really hit the market. So yeah, you put the card in there, and away you go. The back slides on sort of easily. I'm just going to peel off this sticker here. So what is the Samsung, or the AT&T Jack rather, what does it have under the hood? What is powering this beast? It is a GSM phone. So again, this is on the AT&T network. That's where you're going to be using this phone unless you can unlock it, or you buy it aftermarket or something like that. But I haven't actually heard of any other networks offering this particular phone. So right now, it in fact may be an AT&T exclusive. So the phone itself, when it has the battery in it, is 3.6 ounces, which is 102 grams. It is a GSM phone, and it's a quad band, so it's GSM 850, GSM 900, 1800, 1900, and 2100. So it gives you the full range of 3G and 2G spectrums in the United States. This is not a 3G phone in the like over in Asia or in Europe. So this phone will work on quad band mode, which means you'll get Edge or GPRS speeds over there. It'll work as a phone over in Europe, but you won't get the 3G speeds, which is sad, but it's pretty typical, frankly. Pretty much every phone nowadays has that limitation, with rare exception. It's using Windows Mobile 6.1 for the operating system, and Samsung and AT&T announced that the phone was technically upgradable to Windows Mobile 6.5. That's the new version of Windows Mobile coming out later this year. Now, unlike HTC, they did not announce that this phone was going to be upgraded for free. So we don't actually know if the phone will be upgraded, etc. One would hope it would be for free, but you don't really know with carriers. So processor, 528 megahertz processor. That is a fast processor. That is the same CPU speed that you see in the really powerful HTC Windows Professional devices. So very cool that Samsung put that in there. It has 96 megabytes of RAM, from what I can tell on this spec sheet. And then there's also internal storage. What I'm going to do here, let's actually turn it on. I'm going to assume that this is the power button. There we go. It's powering up. So the battery does actually have some juice in it. That's always cool. Yeah, everything else, it has built-in Wi-Fi. So that is basically the biggest difference between this phone and, say, the Blackjack II, the previous generation phone. The previous generation phone did not have Wi-Fi, and this has 802.11b and G built in. So that's actually a really cool feature. It has a camera on the back, 3.2 megapixels, and it does not look like it has a flash. I don't see any indication of that, but it looks like we have a speaker here, and actually the speaker kind of comes at the top, so that is kind of cool. All right, so there is the phone. On the side here, so we had the power button that I used to turn it on. It looks like we have volume up or volume down. So that is pretty standard. Basically nothing on the bottom. Over on the side here, we have the sync, charge, and headphone jack port. I really wish Samsung would put it down at the bottom, so then you could charge it and maybe even get a cradle. But Samsung seems to insist on putting these things over on the side, which I think is a little bit silly. Would love to see it on the bottom, and basically nothing on the top. So there's not a lot in the way of buttons all around this thing. You have your standard Windows Mobile buttons. You have the home, the dialer, the end button, the D-pad. Oh, it's asking me to make Windows Mobile better, so I will say yes. And yeah, so that is basically the phone thus far. I'm going to be doing a full review. This phone doesn't have a lot of really fancy software. I mean, basically we're looking at the sliding panels home screen for Windows Mobile 6.1. So this is very standard and essentially the same thing you would see on any other Windows Mobile 6.1 phone. to make sure that this is entirely clear, this is not a touchscreen phone. This is Windows Mobile 6.1 Standard, which means no touchscreen. Windows Mobile 6.1 Professional is the touchscreen. So that's about it for my first impressions. Be sure to watch, and I'll be doing a full video review once I get to use this phone for a little while. This has been Jason Dunn from Smartphone Thoughts. Thanks for watching.